and welcome to this week's video. My name's Lynda Gaiao. Today we move into trait 5, which is fixed rhythms and patterns. This is really about a natural rhythm that your body, your life flows into. And when we look at nature and life on this planet in general, we get this real sense that rhythm is really a natural part of the miracle of life. We have sunsets and sunrises. This creates a natural rhythm to our days, and as the seasons change, we get a different rhythm that flows in there. Now, part of this trait talks about waiting, and when most people come into the world of human design or BG5, they come face to face with this concept of waiting for life to come to you. And people don't like this because they see waiting as stopping. They see waiting as putting pause on your life. But this trait speaks specifically to waiting as an active state. So just like when somebody is pregnant, something is happening. It doesn't maybe seem like anything's happening, but when we wait, there's this natural rhythm and this natural flow that kind of unfolds in life, and waiting is actually something that binds all life forms together in this natural rhythm of life. Somebody with trait 5 really enjoys these fixed patterns and rhythms, these natural rhythms in their life, and their well-being and their vitality is actually directly linked to this rhythm, this tempo, this pattern that flows in their life. And so if you have this trait in your design, you're more than likely somebody who will set up little rituals or little routines in your life, and when you deviate from these rhythms, you might find that your life becomes a little bit destabilized, and it may even impact on your health. So if you've got anyone in your life that doesn't give you the space and the capacity to have your natural rhythm and flow, it can actually be quite a negative experience for you. I have this trait in my design more than once, and I've always noticed I really do like to set up a rhythm for my life and for my day. And when I set up these routines, or I'll start little practices and I'll follow them religiously for a period of time, and it gets me into this flow of life. So for example, at one stage I wanted to experience sunrises, and so I woke up and watched the sunrise, and I wanted to do it for 40 days because this is a really significant number, and I wanted to do a mantra on each of those days. And so there was this routine that I got myself into, waking up and watching the sunrise. And no matter if the sun was shining or if it was raining or if it was overcast, I got up and I went into nature and watched the sunrise. And with anything, with any routine, with any rhythm or pattern that you start in your life, at first it can be challenging because maybe you have a different rhythm that you've been following. So there's this shifting phase where you transition from one rhythm to another. But then when you establish that rhythm and you get into it, it's kind of like your life just starts to naturally flow around that. And even though I initially had this intention of doing this rhythm for 40 days, when I got to the 40 days, I was like so much in a flow, and I felt so vital in my life, inside myself, for seeing the sunrise and being involved in it, that I ended up just going, and ultimately I brought that rhythm or that flow of that pattern, that routine, that ritual in my life to a close at 101. So I did 101 sunrises in a row. For those people that don't have this in their design, though, we can appear to be quite fixed because there's a certain level of rigidity to this. So for example, in my life, I don't particularly like it when people come in and suddenly change a rhythm or the way that I do something, the flow of how I do something. And I can get quite destabilized and maybe even irritable, because I feel like I've got my way that things work, and they work for me, they keep me flowing, they keep me vital, they keep me healthy, and I don't like it when people come in and kind of shake that up or change it. So if you have this in your design and somebody is constantly forcing you out of your natural rhythms, it can be both physically, mentally, and emotionally destabilizing, and it can manifest into some type of insecurity or unhealthy behaviors, or even physical disorders. So just watching that and making sure that you have that space in your life to be free, to have your rhythm, and not have people question the way that you do things, or the rhythm and the flow that you need in your life to keep that healthiness, to maintain that healthy vibrancy in your life. This trait is in the energy resource, or the sacral, and the sacral is about responding to life. And so there is this level of response required when we're thinking about establishing a correct rhythm and pattern. Following your decision-making strategy is always kind of the foundation of where you go to, but it's about responding to a new rhythm, to a new pattern that you see coming up, and then that linked with your decision-making strategy can really help you to establish the correct pattern in your life. Because any habits or patterns in life, once we're in them, it can be sometimes difficult to shift. The title of this particular trait is fixed rhythms and patterns. So once you're fixed into a pattern, it can be difficult to shift from that. So if it's an incorrect pattern or an unhealthy pattern, then you're going to be stuck in it for a while. The trait on the other side of the 5 is the 15, and this is diversity. So it's almost like the polar opposite of the 5. So the 5 wants things to be fixed, it wants this rhythm and this pattern, but when we get to the 15, it's about extremes. And so there is literally no fixed rhythm and pattern when we get to the 15. And those people that have that in their design actually really struggle to have anything fixed. They're unpredictable, they're very flexible, they're very adaptable, and this is what keeps them healthy. And so the 5 and the 15 have this interesting dynamic. They have this interesting play between them. And it can either be a massive issue because one person wants to be really fixed and the other one wants to be totally unfixed. Or it can actually help the other side to maintain a balance, a kind of health. Because the 5 can get fixed into patterns that may not be correct or healthy and unable to get out of them. And when the 15 comes along, they can kind of shake things up and bring some diversity. And conversely, the 15 can be all over the place, never having anything fixed. And there's too much unpredictability, too much flexibility, too much adaptability. And the 5 can bring to the 15 kind of, let's just fix on this for a while. Maybe one could think about it as kind of locking on and then letting go, locking on and letting go. So this beautiful dynamic between the two, where we lock onto something, we establish a correct pattern, we get into a natural flow and a rhythm. But if that's no longer working for us, we need to be able to let go of that and then realign to something else that is correct and healthy. When we're thinking about trait 5 of fixed rhythms and patterns in terms of business, we can see that a certain amount of rhythm, a certain amount of patterns in the business, establishing ground rules, I guess, or foundations for a business where, this is the way we do things around here. And you get people into this rhythm or this flow, and that can really lead to these step-by-step processes, which creates a predictable experience for customers, so they know that they're going to go through a certain process with you, and if they come back to see you again, they're going to experience something very similar. Bigger corporations such as McDonald's, for example, they have very fixed rhythms and patterns in their business, and they're able to translate that across countries and across different cities and different languages, just keeping something really consistent. So consistency in this sense is a really valuable asset in a business, and it helps to establish like a kind of beat and a rhythm and a culture within that business that people can identify and align with and come back again and again and again for that business. And there's a certain level of timing and time. So this inner timing, this inner rhythm of things, and both of them are essential to create a healthy flow in a business. Conversely, if the business is stuck in a rhythm or a pattern that is actually offensive to customers or does not generate excellent outcomes, then you could see the benefit of having somebody with the 15 of the diversity of the extremes coming in and kind of shaking things up for a while and bringing new life into giving us the opportunity to then connect into a new rhythm or pattern. So this week, I'd encourage you to pay attention to what are the rhythms and patterns in your life. Do you have any that are fixed? Do you have routines that you stick to? Do you have little rituals that you've set up in your life? And how much are these linked to your vitality and health? Do they keep you healthy? Or are there potentially some really unhealthy patterns and behaviors in your life? Some rhythms that you've aligned to or connected into or been forced into at some point along your journey, which perhaps it's now time to let go of those, and then waiting, allowing yourself to respond to life and bringing in a new pattern that is correct and healthy for you. I hope you enjoy this week of experiencing fixed rhythms and patterns. If you have any comments to share, please pop them in the comments below. Each week when a new video, when the transit changes, when the background frequency changes, I release a new video. So if you want to stay updated of those, please hit the subscribe button and you will get a notification each time a new video is released. Until next week, I hope you have an awesome one. Bye for now.